Hello everyone, welcome back to the second mission of the Eurotrip link campaign that Tom and Lucas has put together. We're running this like their link missions you'll find at the back of the Flames War book, so each mission, if you win well enough, will have an impact on the next game. The second mission is going to be the Battle of St. Lo. We try to keep this as historical as possible, definitely with the units involved. So we tend to see a lot of different types of formations being used, reflecting what the Allies and Axis are using. It will be the Americans though for this one, and for the rest of the campaign. And we're using a 120 point limit as well. So again, you'll see slightly different lists coming up. So let's have a look more detail into the battle. Okay, so here we have a little map of the battle. So the Americans attacking with the 29th Infantry Division, going into St. Lo. St. Lo was bombed extensively before the attack, so well some of it actually crept up onto the American lines as well. Defending St. Lo, we have the 352nd Infantry Division, which is scraped together, lots of elements just scraped together, an ad hoc defense force put together to try and block the Americans. And again, you can see from the map, it's a vital town, all these roads going into it, good junction for linking up the causeways again, like Carentan before. Big problem with St. Lo is the hills on the approach need to be taken. Obviously the Americans like their observation points, and obviously is a good vantage point as well. So when I set up the table, I'll make sure to have at least one big hill in the middle of the table, to have the Germans defending on it and hopefully the Americans to take them off. So the no retreat mission was selected for this mission, as it's a good reflection of what happened with German reinforcements trickling in to hold the line. The point of note, due to last game, Tom had a very good victory as the Germans. He gets an additional minefield to place, putting him up to 6 minefields for this mission, so that's quite decent. And that is it. We're also going to be trying out some house rules that Tom has written. In the game, I'll go over roughly what we have brought in. So a lot of it's to do with tall terrain. So we've done a tier system where some can look over other tall terrain. So being a church tower can look over a bocage and other items. Another good thing we brought in is escalating air power. So if you fail to get in air cover, next turn you get a +1 to your roll, but a 1 will always fail. So that's quite good. Scouts as well, we'll bring in the eyes and ears rules. So as a skill check, they can do a skill check, and with a visible team within a certain distance, they can lift gone to ground. It's just like little flavor rules, that house rules we brought in. I know Tom is quite eager to try them out, and we've printed them out. So if anyone's interested, I'll go over it a bit next game when I have chance. I'll read off the script that I have, and maybe you could try them out yourself, and maybe Battlefront might incorporate them when they do the next set of rules. But we'll try them out, and this is more or less a play test in these rules, so it's looking forward to it really. Okay, so this is Lucas's American list, so all regular Americans, so aggressive on 3+s, but quite a lot of meat on it, especially in terms of infantry, 3 platoons and an engineer platoon, supported by a few tanks, but a lot of templates in this list. As we know, they were bombarded, the Germans, so this good reflection of how many templates are going to be put down. I don't think there's going to be many vantage points for the Germans where they can actually deploy in a good position without a template being there. The P-47s are actually equipped with napalm, which we'll go over as well. Lucas was saying this was actually used in the battle as well, so it's quite nice, historically accurate there. Also nice to see the engineers get a run out. This is a debut for them, and we also have the Cullen cutters, which are attached to the 75mm Shermans. Okay, so this is the infantry element of the rifle company. So you have the HQ, which is 2 SMG teams, 2 small platoons of 7 teams, with an extra bazooka, putting them up to 2 bazookas and 2 LMGs. And then we have the full platoon of 10 with 2 bazookas but no LMGs for them. Point of note that they are aggressive, but they do have a very good rally on a 3+, so they should keep on coming no matter what hits them. Still in the formation, these are all the mortars. So we have 6 8cm mortars and then 3 smaller mortars. So again, plenty of artillery even in the formation. Okay, and here is the Sherman company, again regular, so aggressive, hit on 3s. We have HQ 2 70mm Shermans, 5 76s, another 3 75s in platoon as well, and 3 armoured mortars, and that is in the entire company. And here is the support for the Americans. So we have 2 priest batteries of 3. We have the engineer company, so that is 5 rifle teams, 3 bazookas and 2 heavy machine guns. And then we have the Greyhound with the Greyhound scout car, a MG Jeep and a little mortar. And at the back we can see the Thunderbolt as well. Okay, so these are the 3 command cards that Lucas is using today. So we have the engineer combat platoon, which mentioned, like other engineers, they cross minefields better and dig in a bit better as well. Can actually feel this as a company as well, so that's nice, but they are going to be aggressive. We have the Cullen hedge cutters, which are attached to the platoon of 75s. Just makes it easier to get over hedges. And then we have the 370th Fighter Group. Now, basically, these guys have napalm for the P-47s. And the good thing is you get the range down first before you discard this card. So it would be a crying shame to discard this 3 points and then not range in. But this is quite nasty because it is flames, and hopefully it won't devastate the defenders too much. Or devastate them quite a lot, depending on who you're backing for this battle. Okay, and here is Tom's list. This is basically what the Germans have been able to scrape together to try and hold St. Lo. We have some fallschirmjagers that have been rallied together, and we have the remnants of a beach defender company as well being brought together. So all reduced platoons because the casualties are sustained. Only armour they've been able to patch together are assault guns. So we've got Stugs and STUHs as well. And there's just a few anti-tank guns knocking around as well. But they managed to dig in, get some machine gun nests as well. So let's have a little breakdown of the force. So here we have the Fallschirmjäger. We have 2 platoons of 7, with the HQ as 2 SMG teams. One of the platoons does have a Panzerschreck, but both infantry platoons have Panzerfaust as well. And there's also a 4-man platoon of heavy machine guns as well. Okay, and here we have the Beach Defender Company, so HQ again, 2 SMG teams. We have 3 5-man platoons, that's all they've been able to scrape together. They do have Panzerfausts, and a few of them have quite a few Panzerschrecks distributed amongst them as well. So not too bad in terms of armament and anti-tank capability with this lot. So still in the formation of the Beach Grenadiers, we have 4 heavy machine gun bases and a platoon of 6 8cm mortars. And these guys are skill 5, so I'm basically Tom needs a good spot to range these guys in, because it's going to be pretty difficult to get them to range in again, especially with the terrain needing a 6. And as well, the 4 heavy machine guns will be ending up being independent teams because these are the machine gun nest boys. Okay, so now we're into support. So we have 3 PaK-40s, 2 8.8cm heavy AA, 4 Stugs, and 3 STUHs. So haven't used STUHs for ages. So these basically a howitzer attached to the Stugs chassis. So they can bombard if they want. They are brutal, but they are slow firing. But these are Fallschirmjäger Stugs, so these are pretty much the best of the best. So over to command cards, we have the 352nd Infantry Division. So this is actually debut for this card as far as I remember. Changes the stats up as beach defenders. So that means they're not too bad really for a rally on a 3+ is pretty good. So we're going to have a lot of very easy to rally troops for this game. And they're not too bad in assault, but let's hope I don't move and want to dig in, as though they might be equipped with spades, but by the look of that skill of 5+, they don't know how to use them. And also their last stand is pretty shocking, meaning that if I take too many casualties, they're going to start wandering off. Okay, so here is today's battlefield. I tried to follow that map I shared at the beginning as close as I could. So I do have a hill more or less in the middle of the table. I'm making sure it's in the German deployment. Got some bocage lying around and some fields, and as you can see on the left side of the map, the outskirts of St. Lo, which has been heavily damaged. You can see the craters, rubble piles, and a bit of a destroyed factory with a rail line at the back, and as you can see, the start of the road network at the back. So to keep with history, the Americans will be attacking from the right. You can just about make out their dice, which is the edge of their deployment, and the Germans will be defending the left, and you should be able to make out their dice going around the center of the table. So there's a slight twist in the tale for this mission, which hopefully I recorded when I did the game, so we'll go into that now, and if I haven't, ask me in the comments and I'll tell you why, but you'll probably figure out as we go through the game what the slight twist is. Oh, I almost forgot the Oracle of Battle segment. My wife Jen has decided that the Americans are the potential winners for this game because she's seen those nice shiny aircraft. She does probably 9 times out of 10 favour the side with aircraft, unless you can spot a Tiger tank, and then she'll go for them as well. So write down now what her prediction is, and we'll see if she's right at the end of the game. So let's get into deployment.
Okay, so here is deployment, and a little twist in this tale is due to poor internet. Tom is unable to command his troops today, so he has drawn on a photo I sent him for where he is to I am to deploy everything, and he's written me out a few basic plans for this game, and he's also told me what to put in reserve and ambush. So this is actually quite historical because the day before the battle, the commander of this ad hoc force was killed, and his second in command had to take over. So this is actually similar to what I've seen Mark at Hengist Comics do for Sandblitz, where they have a higher command who give an overall plan of battle, and then you have the people on the ground trying to do what they tell them to do. So this is quite interesting and is a quite a good way to try and do it. So in reserve for this force, we have all the Stugs, second platoon of the fallschirmjäger, and then we have the heavy machine gun fallschirmjägers in ambush. So going from right to left, we have first platoon of the beach grenadiers with an MG nest. I put a little wall section in front of each MG nest just to try and identify them. And yes, Tom did tell me to put the troops under templates. I'm not thrilled about this, but we need to hold the ground. We have Pack 40s, one in the woods, one by here, and then one here. And then we have third platoon of the grenadiers in this forest, and a HQ right behind, and an MG nest on the road. In the church we have second platoon, which are kind of a standing reserve, ready to plug any gap. The 8cm mortars are back here, all looking down different routes so they can range in somewhere. The Fallschirmjäger and the HQ are over here, so this is the first platoon, this is the one with the Panzerschreck, and the HQ's by here. On the hill we have 2 88s and 2 MG nests, and yeah, again these are under templates as well, but with the amount of artillery Lucas had, he was able to pretty much get a good frontage on this area with artillery. You can see here the minefields, so we have an additional one because of Tom's victory last game. So good cover going around here, leading on to this objective, and then one more over here for the flank. Now to Lucas's force, so we have second platoon of the infantry here. Pretty much every single artillery unit in the game is on this hill, so we've called it Artillery Hill for this game. We have the Greyhounds on here as well. To the right of the hill we have third platoon and the engineer company, so this is a massive blob of infantry, and we have the HQ behind. Then we have the little half-track mortars, the 76mm Shermans, the Sherman platoon and HQ, and finally first platoon. So a nice solid line of Americans ready to stream across this battlefield. So hopefully I can slow them down. So we have American turn 1. Okay, American movement. First platoon has moved to occupy these woods. The Shermans are moving up to get lines of sight on the 88. So now with the rules, we are doing it more line of sight. So because the hill is taller than the bocage, they can see over it, and these ones are up against it anyway. So these experimental rules, obviously we're play testing it, see how it works, but I think they'll be fine. Third platoon has moved up to the bocage. Engineers have moved up to the bocage. Some has moved forward into the field, and second platoon have moved, and the Greyhounds as well. So that is American movement. So now we're going into shooting. And I also failed to mention aircraft did not come in, but because with the new rules, Lucas only needs a 3+ to bring them in next turn. But a 1 will always fail. So here we go into American shooting. Okay, so my version of artillery hill, what we're calling pinning hill, basically the 88s are no longer there thanks to artillery and Shermans, and both MG nests are pinned down. Thanks Tom for that one. We put them on the hill. In the woods, pretty much everything is pinned apart from the Pak 40s. But basically the only things I lost were the 88s. Everything else was pinned, but managed to shrug off the shots, or Lucas failed his firepower. So I get to fight back in German turn 2. Okay, so for motivation, very well. Basically only first platoon did not rally, but the good thing is the MG nests have. Also, my Stugs have managed to arrive, so they're moving on here. So now we're going into movement, and we will be doing some shooting straight after, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so only movement I did was to follow me with the Stugs, and my Grenadier HQ moved for moral support. In my shooting, the MGs on the hill fired into the platoon. I killed 1 LMG and pinned the platoon. The other machine gun nest here went over and got a few hits on these guys, onto the engineers, a few hits, and then the other LMG managed to pin the rest. My mortars managed to pin 3rd platoon and kill 3 rifle teams. Engineers, I got an LMG and a engineer team. The Pak 40s, I had 1 fire up here which I missed. The other 2 went onto the priests on the hill, and I killed 2 and bailed 1, so that's not too bad. All the Grenadiers have remained gone to ground for now. Hopefully the guys don't rally, but this platoon here is not pinned, so they'll be moving forward. And I was tempted to go on to the scouts, because with this experimental rules, with their eyes and ears, that is going to be a bit of trouble. So we're going into American turn 2. Okay, so the priests have run away. The remaining guy did get back in, but then he drove away. All the infantry have rallied, and aircraft have not come in again, but with the escalating air power, it will be a 2+ to get it in, and it won't get any lower than that because a 1 will always fail. But I can guarantee you they will probably turn up next turn. So we're going into American movement as they slowly push their way up the board. Okay, so American movement, first platoon is moving up, tried to do a follow me to get to the hedge, but failed. The Sherman 75s are moving up towards the bocage. The 76s are, one of them's in assault range of the MG nest, so that is going to be bad for these 2. And we also have third platoon moving out into this field. Some of them are still under the template, but that's not too bad a trade-off. Engineers just bunching up behind the bocage for cover, and second platoon doing the same, not ready to move forward just yet. So that is American movement, so now we have to suffer the shooting again. Okay, so shooting, these guys got peppered by main guns and MGs, but they still stand. As we can see here, Lucas used his armoured mortars to pop smoke, and then pretty much everything ranged in over here. Lost a few bases from my first platoon and third platoon, but luckily my guns are okay, although they are pinned at the moment. But the worst thing is to come with this assault onto the hill, so only 1 can make it, so hopefully he will mess it all up and run away. Or I can even kill him in an assault, we'll see. So let's get into the assault step. Okay, so It took a while, but eventually the Sherman did manage to get rid of the MG nest. But luckily he was just over 6 inches away, so he is still here for now, which is a bit of a relief, shall we say. And that is it, so we will be going into German turn 2. So a good thing for me, everything passed their rally, though the Pack 40s did need encouragement from the HQ. And I also have the STUHs come in, do a cross-country dash up the roadway, and now we get into movement. So I will have some things to move this time, and then we'll get into the shooting. Okay, so movement. 2 fallschirmjäger teams have moved up to the edge of the hedge so they can shoot straight through. One of the guys hasn't moved because he's happy where he is. The Shrek and the unit leader have moved to inside arc of these 76 Shermans. Stugs have moved up to the Bocage so they can shoot at the rest. And here the STUHs did a follow me as well. And that is it for my movement, and now we go into the shooting and see if I can whittle down a few more of these Americans. Okay, so shooting, I've taken out a few more of 1st Platoon. I've managed to bail the Sherman with my Panzerfaust, and I killed the Sherman with the Stugs, and I managed to bail another one with the Pack 40. Managed to pin 3rd Platoon in the centre, and 2nd Platoon over on the far left. And that is what I've managed to achieve in my turn. I'm going to have a cheeky little assault here with these 2 guys. Luckily I can get in a good angle with to avoid any defensive fire, and hopefully he doesn't counter and guess any Shermans in to pick me off. And I was thinking of maybe having an assault down here with these guys, but I'll leave it for the tanks to try and push them back a little bit. So wish me luck, let's see what I can do. I'm really feeling pain for Lucas at the moment. He managed to counter-attack. I didn't kill the tank I went into contact with, so only one guy was able to contact, and he went in and he killed the Panzerschreck in fair. I passed my counter but failed to hit. Lucas again passed his counter-attack but failed to hit. I managed to get a hit, but only a bail, but with the only tank being able to get in, the other one had to break off, so he's down to 176, but he is getting a re-roll for his last stand. But that is a crying shame for the 76s, because they were the only real threat straight up for the Stugs. So that is it. So my guy pulled back behind the hill and they had pinned because I did take a hit in assault. So we're going into American turn 3. Okay, so the Americans have all rallied and the 76 has managed to stay on the field, and the P-47s are in as well. Only needing a 2, but I've got a 6, and if you've been missing, we're just doing this escalating air power rule, which is quite nice. Not good for me, but nice theme for the game. And that is startup steps, and now we're going into movement. Okay, American movement. 1st Platoon has moved into assault range on the Fallschirmjäger holding the far side of the hedge. 75 Shermans are moving to clear off the machine gun nest are still there. HQ did a cross-country dash behind again to cover, and the 76 is going to stand his ground and maybe try and take a Stug with him, and then maybe do a shoot and scoot. 3rd Platoon has successfully moved 2 teams into the minefield. Engineers have done the same. 2nd Platoon have moved up into assault range, but not in the minefield yet. So we have shooting now, and there is napalm to potentially drop from the P-47. Okay, so another smoke barrage went down with the 6-8 centimeter mortars. So luckily for me, restricted a lot of the artillery already, and also danger close as well for the other mortars. However, the other priests ranged in down by here and took out the MG nest on the road. Luckily the Stugs have weathered the hits, and my guys behind the Bocage are safe. So there's a lot of assaults coming in here from various parties all over the board. So again, let's hope my boys can hold. Okay, so down by the hill here, the MG nest and Faust team was killed, and the Fallschirmjägers have pulled back behind the hill. The guys in the field did not assault because these guys are the only MG team for the Grenadiers. 3rd Platoon did assault in, took a few casualties because of mines and another one from defensive fire, but they got in, and I decided to pull back, but resulted in losing a Pack 40. I pulled back because I didn't want to walk myself into the minefields because my guys aren't that skillful. So we're going into German turn 3. Okay, so everyone's been able to rally in my motivation, which is cracking. I popped my ambush, my MG 42 teams are by here. I can't see much because of the smoke, but I can see enough coming into this forest for me to try and get rid of them as much as I can. And we have my reserve platoon of fallschirmjagers moving in, so I will do a follow me with them to try and get them a little bit further up. So that is that, so let's get into some movement. Okay, so movement. Remnants of 3rd Platoon have moved into the forest just so they can shoot at the guys in the minefield. Be nice to try and get rid of them, but the HMGs are there as well, so I might be able to pick off a few as well if they fail. Fallschirmjäger did pass their follow me, they moved into the factory. Other fallschirmjäger have pulled back behind the bulletproof cover, and the STUHs have moved up as well to provide cover for this lot. And these Stugs have moved to go for the remaining 76, and a couple of them might even be able to go, or maybe just one will be able to go for the HQs, and that will be it for movement. So now shooting, and let's see if I can pick any more stuff off. Okay, so I managed to get rid of the remaining 76. And I managed to pop one of the armoured half-tracks as well. I managed to kill 2 rifle teams that were in the woods, but I managed to pin the team, which is more important for me, but the rest I couldn't really see for the smoke. Held fire with this lot, because I want to keep them on the ground, so the MG nest goes to ground as well, so it'll be harder to hit me, and these guys aren't in the minefield yet, so they won't be able to clear it, so I'm happy with that, and I will call it, and Lucas can have his turn 4. Okay then, so we have Shermans and infantry moving around the hill with the HQ behind, just staying out of sight of the Stugs. Infantry moving across here, so these are the engineers crabbing into that field. Minefield's been cleared by 3rd Platoon, so the 2 remaining guys who are not digging out mines have moved into the forest. And 1st Platoon didn't know what to do, so they tried to dig in and failed. At that point to note, the other engineers got rid of the other minefield also. And that is where we end the things at the moment. So let's go into shooting and see what the Americans can do now. So shooting over here, these guys can't hit anything. They're missing Stugs, they're missing infantry. Over here, I lost another infantry team in the forest to a bazooka. Took his head off completely. Artillery has been peppering my line here. I lost a Fallschirmjäger HMG and a guy from 2nd Platoon. But a lot of pinned units, but I'm still holding a decent amount of troops back here, so that's good. So now we're going into an assault into the woods with a bazooka and a rifle team onto 2 rifle teams and a Panzer Shrek. So it's a right old anti-tank weapon melee going on in this forest. So let's see if I can push them back. Okay, so the assault, they managed to get in with no casualties. But unfortunately, these guys don't know how to melee combat, so they didn't kill anyone. My guys did a counterattack thanks to the HQ shouting at them, and then they managed to get kills. Even the Shrek got a kill, so there we go. So that is it for the turn, so now we're going into German turn 4. Okay, so I managed to rally everything, so that's really nice for me. So I think I'm going to might try and push some infantry off stuff, I think. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so my movement. One guy has moved to the side of these Shermans. I'll have a Panzerfaust ready for him. One Stug is going to fire at the infantry. I'm summarising movement here, so these guys didn't move. These guys failed a blitz, so I just did a tactical behind the hill. They can do something next turn. I have managed to get the remnants of 3rd Platoon and newly fresh 2nd Platoon into the forest. And the fallschirmjagers is still moving across using the buildings for cover. And that is my movement. So let's go into shooting and let's see if I can pick off a few more enemy units. Okay, so shooting step. I wasn't able to scratch the Shermans, unfortunately, but 1st Platoon are down to 2 units, so they will be last standing. I managed to pin the engineers. Didn't get many kills, but I pinned them. 3rd Platoon is last standing. They're down to 1 unit, 1 bazooka. And 2nd Platoon lost quite a few guys. They are pinned, but they're still in the fight. And but the unfortunate thing is my guys are no longer gone to ground. And that is it really. Let's change that for an American one if there's one around. I think Lucas going to ground on them saved a few more, I think. So I am going to have an assault onto this guy on the side of the Sherman, just to see what happens. Obviously I have to dodge quite a lot of defensive fire, but if he gets in, he gets in, and I might be able to knock one out, and I'll call that a little win for this turn. So let's see what happens. Summary of the assault. He took 3 hits in defensive fire and he died, and that's it. So now we're going into American turn 5. So again, for the Americans, everything rallied, really motivated troops this lot, but I say motivated. 1st and 3rd Platoon have packed up their bags and have gone home, so 2 last stands there. So in the fight still are the Sherman Company, the Engineers and 2nd Platoon over by the wheat field. Now they have rallied, so there's all to fight for over there. Still need to go through a minefield to do the job. And the aircraft have come in again, so will Lucas have his chance to use his napalm? He's desperate to do it because that's 3 points he hasn't used. So let's see what happens. Okay, so American movement. 2nd Platoon and the Engineer Platoon are moving onto the Woods, converging on them. The Shermans, these are the guys with the Cullen hedge cutters, have gone over the hedge, trying to get on the side of this STUH. And we've also got one going to hose down to the infantry teams outside of foxholes. HQ shuffled a bit, so it can also hit this other STUH, and that is it. So everything else leads us into the shooting, and the aircraft is going to try and drop his bombs. Okay, so the napalm did go off, killed a Pack 40 and the XO. A lot of guys from 1st Platoon got dropped because they fired. It was easier to kill them, and 3rd Platoon is just down to 1 guy now, so they're going to get assaulted, and if the defensive fire doesn't push them back, they're in trouble. And over here I lost a Stug and a Fallschirmjäger base, so a lot of kills this time for the Americans, sorry. So they have got 1 assault into the forest. Hopefully they've got enough to stop them getting in, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so failed to mention, Lucas failed to pop his smoke across here with his priests, and that's why there's no smoke here, and he has decided not to assault because the defensive fire is too great from outside the forest on this edge and also inside the forest. So the Americans are going to have to stay here and hope for the best. But I have a last stand to make with this guy, so there might be 1 less to worry about. So we will see now how everything pans out in German turn 5. Okay, so motivations, everything rallied, but I did fail 2 last stands. So the remnants of 3rd Platoon and the Pack 40s are no longer with us. So I still need to get rid of these Americans away from the objective. Obviously it's turn 5, so I still got time to get rid of them. So let's see if I can whittle them down a little bit more and hopefully wrap this game up ever so slightly. Okay, so in the movement, the Stugs have moved on the hill, and more Fallschirmjäger are going around the side of these tanks. The rest of the platoon, including the HQ, wherever he is, that's the unit leader, they're moving this way. The guy who is still there stayed in his foxhole. 2nd platoon is moving into assault range of the rest, while the other fallschirmjäger are bringing up the rear, coming to reinforce. And that is it. So hopefully this might be enough to push them away and get rid of them. So I'm going to start with a smoke barrage. Okay, so in the shooting I managed to bail one Sherman and knock out another, so these guys are about to get rid of this guy. Over here I managed to pin everyone, but there's still some people left standing of the platoon, so I need to try and get rid of a few more of them, and that is it. I also popped smoke at the beginning of my shooting to stop these guys moving and getting side shots on me, so that is it. So now we'll go into the 2 assaults that I have left. Okay, so the assault down here went well. Basically I didn't kill him, but the other guy couldn't contact me, so he broke off and the other Sherman is dead. Over here though, I did take exactly 5 hits in defensive fire. That pushed me back, but luckily I only got 1 casualty, but that could be costly. But I do have a fresh platoon of fallschirmjägers sneaking up behind them, so that'll be quite good. So let's see what happens when we go into American turn 6. Okay, so for the 6th consecutive turn, the Americans have rallied all their units, and they've also passed all their last stands, and aircraft have turned up. So this is do or die for the Americans now. So let's see if they can do it. This is turn 6. Okay, so this Sherman is going to go for the Fallschirmjäger, try and break this formation. Oh no, try not break it, but break the unit. And then everyone else is going into the forest, trying to get rid of these teams here. And Thunderbolts turned up again, so they're going for the Fallschirmjäger, and that is it. So, let's fail to mention this, the HQ is driven over the hedges, going for the Stugs on the hill, so that's a bit of trouble there as well. So, let's see what happens in the shooting. Okay, so luckily the Sherman gunners can't hit anything. Actually, one did get hit with a 50 cal here, but I saved. Finally, the smoke for the priests went down, basically which will limit my defensive fire. The HQ team has jumped from 2 bases into that platoon, basically Panzerschrecks, but he's pinned as well. And basically everyone's pinned apart from the Fallschirmjäger stuff, and I lost a Fallschirmjäger to the MGs of the Thunderbolt. So this is definitely a bloody assault for St. Lo. So we have assaults. We have an assault from the Sherman onto the Fallschirmjäger, and we have an assault into the woods with a mixture of different units. So let's see how this all pans out. Right, it's quite clear cut, this one. I hit it with Panzerfaust when he charged in, so all the others now moving over this way to try and get rid of the HQ. Over here though, I feel like we were here for a good hour swinging at each other. In the end my guys finally broke off. I still have my HQ and the unit leader left, and he has 3 engineer teams, one of them a bazooka, and 1 HQ team left in that section. So both are pinned, and I have my Fallschirmjäger who are not pinned, ready to try and clear them out as we go into German turn 6. Okay, so I've rallied everything apart from my HQ, and only the guy remaining from 3rd platoon run away. So these guys rolled a 6, these two, so well, I'm gonna have to find something for this lot to do now. So we will go into movement. Okay, so the Fallschirmjäger are in position to assault into the forest to drive these Yanks off. Remnants of 1st platoon are going to try and face off against these LMGs, see what they can do. And over here the Stugs have enveloped around the Shermans, and the Fallschirmjäger unit leaders moved up to potentially get rid of anyone I can't pick off over here. A lot of other units have backed off onto the objective over here, because you never know. So let's see what I can achieve in the shooting, and then see if I need to finish anything else off. Okay, so I managed to get rid of one more LMG. I got 4 hits on the HQ in the woods, but he passed all 4 saves, so they can't stop me in this assault. But I am a bit worried now. So what else has gone on? Yeah, all 2 Shermans are dead. I managed to bail one and kill one with the Stugs, and the Fallschirmjäger Panzerfaust actually killed the other one. 5+ firepower, got him. So we have an assault here, and let's see if I can pick these guys off and get rid of them. Wish me luck. Who knows how this is going to go. Okay, so that is end The HQ was the last man standing for the Americans. He rallied and went in, but he didn't kill anyone. And then I rolled a 6. The fallschirmjagers really up for it, and they went in and killed him. So that leaves us with a 6-3 victory in the second mission this campaign. Tom, I hope you're happy with me. I know didn't follow your commands right to the letter, but being boots on the ground, I felt they were the right choices. My man of the match will be the fallschirmjäger Stugs, because they came in when I needed them to. They got rid of a 76mm Sherman. They got rid of, helped get rid of the other 75s, and then they got rid of the other Shermans as well, and basically anchored this left flank. Good mentions though to the Beach Grenadiers, who gave their lives defending this sector of the battlefield. You, Lucas, who would you have as your man of the match?
I think for the sheer always counter-attacking, always unpinning, the HQ just did it all really. Even being the last guy standing at the end of mine was like, yeah, gotta be the plain old rifle company HQ. That guy did work.
Yes. Yeah, he basically, the 3 platoons pretty much that cluster, basically him, and then there was another 2 platoons and then the engineers clustered around him, basically always got a rally because of him. They always managed to counter-attack as well because of him, and he was the last man standing trying to take the objective. So that's St. Lo, not quite captured, but I think because the Germans have been bloodied so much, we're going to pull back to another defensive line somewhere. I can't remember what mission 3 will be, but there's going to be no advantage to Tom because I did not secure a stunning or major victory. So the Americans press on the advance, although these guys are going to have to be pulled off the line potentially. So we will see you again in mission 3 of the the Euro trip campaign for the Americans. And that's it. So stay safe, see you next time.